Imagine standing in front of a closet, holding a plain black jacket you haven't worn in 3 years. It smells faintly of rain, of cheap coffee, of a train platform at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. You don't wear it anymore. It doesn't even really fit. But as your hand rests on the sleeve, your chest tightens. You put it back on the hanger. You close the door. And you ask yourself a question you've been asking for months, maybe years. Why can't I just let go? It wasn't a dramatic breakup. There were no raised voices, no shattered glass, no slammed doors in the middle of the night. It ended on a Sunday afternoon with a quiet sentence and the sound of a key being placed gently on a wooden coffee table. That was 8 months ago. By all objective measures, life moved on. The apartment was rearranged. The clutter was cleared. Friends said all the right things over dinner. Time heals everything. You're better off. You just need to close that chapter. So why, at 2 a.m., does the phone feel heavier than it ever has? You aren't looking at their profile to see what they're doing. You're looking at a ghost. You scroll past 300 photos just to find one specific afternoon in October where the light hit the kitchen table in a way that felt entirely safe. You read an old text message. 3 words, "On my way." It's completely mundane, a completely ordinary exchange from a Tuesday that died long ago. Yet, your pulse quickens. Your brain reacts as if the message was sent 3 seconds ago. Your body is here, in the present, sitting in the dark, but your mind is trapped in a room that no longer exists. Logically, you know it's over. Logically, you know it should be over. So, why does your brain refuse to accept the truth? We like to believe that memory is a digital archive, a collection of video files stored neatly on a hard drive, waiting to be reviewed when we feel nostalgic. If that were true, moving on would be a simple matter of deletion. You would look at the past, acknowledge that it belongs to yesterday, and hit clear. But the human brain doesn't store memories like files. It stores them like survival guides. When someone becomes central to your daily life, your brain does something extraordinary. It builds a neural map of that person. It maps their voice, their timing, their scent, the sound of their footsteps on the stairs. It calculates their presence as a baseline constant for your safety. In the eyes of your neurobiology, that person isn't just someone you like. They are a predictable source of safety. They are where your brain expects to find regular doses of comfort, dopamine, and calm. And then, suddenly, they are gone. To your conscious mind, it's a heartbreak. To your subconscious mind, it's an emergency. When a relationship ends abruptly or even slowly, with unresolved questions, the brain enters a state of high alert, known as the Zeigarnik effect. Discovered in the 1920s by Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, this principle explains a strange flaw in human cognition. The brain cannot stand an incomplete task. Unfinished business stays held in high-priority working memory, looping continuously, demanding to be solved. A completed story gets archived. An unfinished story stays open, like a tab on your computer, consuming energy, draining your battery, running quietly in the background while you try to live your life. When someone leaves without an explanation that satisfies you, your brain treats the missing answer as a missing piece of a puzzle. It convinces you that if you just analyze the last conversation one more time, if you just replay that argument on the porch, if you just figure out the exact moment the shift happened, the loop will close, the pain will stop. So you replay it over and over. You search their old messages for clues. You reread the final words. You reconstruct the scene from every angle. But here is the trap. You aren't searching for the truth. You are searching for relief. And every time you open that memory to analyze it, you don't solve it, you reactivate it. Imagine a lab experiment from the mid-20th century. A rat is placed in a cage with a lever. Every single time the rat presses the lever, a small pellet of food drops down. The rat quickly learns the pattern. It presses when it's hungry, eats, and goes about its day. Then, the experiment changes. Now, when the rat presses the lever, food comes out only sometimes, completely at random. Press once, nothing. Press 5 times, nothing. Press a 6th time, food. What happens to the rat? It doesn't walk away. It doesn't get bored. It becomes obsessed. It presses the lever furiously, relentlessly, ignoring its own exhaustion. This is what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. It is the most powerful mechanism for building an addiction known to science. Predictable rewards build habits. Unpredictable rewards build compulsions. In a healthy relationship, care and connection are predictable. They are the lever that works every time. But in a relationship that was hot and cold, distant and intense, full of mixed signals and sudden withdrawals, your brain was fed on an intermittent schedule. You never knew when the warmth was coming, which made the warmth feel intoxicating when it finally arrived. When that person leaves, your brain doesn't experience simple sadness. It experiences withdrawal. That urge to check their profile at night, that urge to send a neutral text just to see if they reply, that isn't just love. That is the rat, standing in the dark, pressing the lever one more time, praying that this is the moment the food comes down. Which brings us back to the silence of your room. You tell yourself that you're holding on because you love them too much. You tell yourself that the depth of your pain is proof of the depth of the connection. You take a strange kind of pride in how deeply it hurts, as if letting go would mean admitting that what you had didn't matter. If I stop hurting, you think, then it really is dead. So you carry the weight intentionally. You keep the ghost alive because the alternative, an empty room, a quiet phone, a blank future, feels infinitely colder. You think you are fighting to keep them. But if you look closely at what you are actually holding on to, a disturbing pattern emerges. You aren't replaying the bad weeks. You aren't remembering the cold shoulder, the miscommunications, the moments you felt entirely unseen while sitting right next to them. Your brain has quietly edited the tape. Through a mechanism known as fading affect bias, the negative emotions attached to memories fade much faster than the positive ones. Your mind deliberately softens the sharp edges of the past, polishing the good moments until they shine, while eroding the reasons it ended in the first place. You are no longer longing for a real human being with flaws, bad habits, and emotional distance. You are longing for a curated highlight reel. You are holding onto a ghost that you created. And this is where the deeper mystery lies. If the brain is designed for survival, if it is built to move toward comfort and away from pain, why would it keep you trapped in a loop that brings you so much misery? Why does it refuse to let the past die? To find the answer, you have to look past the person you lost and look directly at the person who was left behind. Think back to the moment it ended, or the moment you realized it was slipping away. In that exact instant, something inside you broke, and it wasn't just your heart, it was your identity. When you are with someone for a long time, your sense of self blends with theirs. Your plans for the future, your daily routines, the way you view your own worth, they become entangled. You stop being just you. You become the version of yourself that exists in relation to them. The person who was loved, the person who was chosen, the person who had a clear place in the world. When they walk away, they don't just take their presence with them. They take the mirror you were using to see yourself. This is the plot twist of grief that almost everyone misses. You think you can't let go of them. You think you are crying for their voice, their smile, their presence in your life. But you aren't. The reason the jacket still hangs in your closet, the reason the old text messages still pull at your chest, the reason you can't close the door is because you aren't trying to save them. You are trying to save the version of yourself that existed when you were with them. You miss the person you were when you felt safe. You miss the confidence you had when you knew someone was coming home to you. You miss the light you shone with when you believed you were fully seen. Every time you reach back into the past, you aren't looking for their hand. You are looking for your own lost reflection. You are holding on to the story because without it, you have to face the terrifying blank page of who you are right now. The pain you feel isn't proof that they were the one. It is proof that you abandon yourself the moment they left. Letting go is never a single dramatic moment. It doesn't happen in a grand epiphany. It doesn't happen because someone gives you the perfect apology or because you finally figure out the hidden reason why it all fell apart. It happens in small, invisible choices. It happens on a random Thursday when you start to look at old photos and instead of clicking, you put the phone face down on the table. It happens when a memory surfaces, and instead of chasing it down the rabbit hole to see where it leads, you simply acknowledge it like a passing car outside your window and let it drive away. It happens when you stop asking, "Why did they leave?" and start asking, "Why am I still standing at the door?" Maybe you never really missed them at all. Maybe you just missed who you allowed yourself to be when you were by their side. And perhaps the hardest person you will ever have to let go of is the version of yourself that you left in the past, waiting for someone who is never coming back.